all have said these were illegitimate elections or there was outside interference. There is nothing. Look, you guys are, listen, just hear me for a second. Consider, yes, they conceded. Okay, so they conceded and he didn't. Okay, so by the magical power of saying I concede, that somehow makes us a democracy and not a dictatorship. You guys are obsessing over this thing that most Americans don't actually care that much about.
Dave Smith went on Piers Morgan Uncensored and took on an entire panel of woke idiots and absolutely shut them down. He silenced them. They didn't even know what to say in response because of how nuclear this takedown was here from Dave Smith live on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Let's get into this clip here where Dave Smith goes off on idiots like Francesca Fiorentini and the rest of this woke panel here live on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Well, how about let's not go with what's in his heart?
Read Agenda 47.
How about this? How about we don't go with what's in his heart and we go with the 4-year track record? I mean, the problem here is that, and look, to your point, obviously the rhetoric on both sides has been elevated tremendously over the last few years. But very divisive times in this country. And both sides are guilty of this or right to do it, however you look at it. But people do lose their collective minds when it comes to Donald Trump. Look, these comparisons, the idea that he's some Hitlerian figure is ridiculous. Even the comparisons to Mussolini, this is all silliness. Donald Trump was president for 4 years, okay? He did a lot of things bad. I was a big critic of his foreign policy. His fiscal policy was very bad. I do not think he handled COVID well. But these are problems kind of similar to previous presidents before that. His rhetoric is much more bombastic than other presidents were, okay? That's the reality that we're dealing in. And the fact that you guys have to take this up to 11 as if there's some existential threat to the republic that isn't, by the way, you want to know the real existential threat to, hold on, just 1 second, let me finish. The real existential threat to our republic right now is that debt is over, the interest on our debt is overtaking our entire budget. And this is something that Democrats and Republicans are both guilty of. So they don't want to talk about that because it's, it condemns both of them. But the reality of the situation is that whatever happened on January 6th that got out of control, there certainly was violence there. Donald Trump got on a plane and went back to Mar-a-Lago. He was never calling in the military. There was never a chance that he was going to institute a dictatorship in the United States of America. This is all election nonsense. And I'll tell you something, Democrats, you better figure out something else to run against, because this whole Kamala Harris is a prosecutor and Donald Trump is a felon. The American people have rejected this already. No one cares about these charges that wouldn't have been brought to any other former president, okay? This isn't going to do it. You got to have something of substance. The problem is what you guys could actually run against is that Donald Trump was such a disaster through all of 2020, and he kept Fauci on the job, and he kept Americans locked down. The problem is you guys were criticizing him for not locking down harder. So I don't know what angle you're going to find. There's plenty of flaws on him.
Hold on. I got a question before we get into this. Why is there a 12-year-old on this panel? Why the hell do we have this guy, this little teenager, I don't know, might be preteen. Why is he on this panel? What is up with all of these? And you notice how they're never right-wingers? They're very obviously industry plants, right? To try and capture the younger generation, like the Harry Sisson type people, whoever the hell this guy is in the bottom right. The really young, just unbearably woke people. Why? What is going on with this? Please, somebody answer that in the comments. But also, Dave Smith just absolutely cooked this entire panel. Like I said, they don't even know what to say. They're acting as if, they're making all these faces like, oh, I have a very easy dispute to this. It's like, dude, no, you don't. You don't have anything to say because he's 100% correct. Donald Trump won the popular vote by a pretty decent margin, which hasn't happened in a very long time for a Republican to win it. Obviously, people are rejecting, the fake charges that they're throwing at Donald Trump and the fakeness of Kamala Harris. People are tired of this stuff. It's very obvious. Dave Smith is completely in the right and they have nothing to say in return.
Problem is, you guys are worse on most of the issues he's bad on.
David, be better than that. Quit saying you guys. Everybody opposes Donald Trump for their own reason. Quit saying you guys. And I'm sorry, quit saying those of us who do believe, and you can disagree, Dave, those of us who do believe Trump is a unique threat to democracy, quit saying we've lost our minds. Come on, man. I haven't lost my mind.
You've absolutely lost your mind.
I'm older.
Wait, absolutely lost your mind.
Hold on, CJ. Let me finish, CJ. I'm older than you, Dave and CJ. In my lifetime, I've never seen a president lose an election and refuse to concede. I've never seen a president try to overthrow the results of that election. You can disagree with the severity of that.
But Joe, hold on 1 second. But let's just be real specific here. Just very, hold on.
Real specific. January 6th, 2021. Real specific for you, my guy.
Wait, this is Dave and CJ. I feel like are not willing to look into the deeper aspects. I mean, Donald Trump is someone who's had a whole fake electors plot, sent fake electors to my state of Georgia, and tried to, essentially take the will of the people away. He had the Department of Justice in the Oval Office demanding that they sign a letter that with a DOJ header that said they believed there was election interference, and 2 DOJ officials resigned over that. Again, it is so dishonest to say that Donald Trump was normal, or that people are losing their minds when they say he's a threat to democracy. I mean, he tried and went through every single illegal and legal action to overturn the election, and why people are freaked out.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Is because if you have another Trump presidency where he could install loyalists, all of a sudden those checks and balances
let me just, because you guys are both
different
arguments here, but let me
invalidated under a Trump
don't talk over each other.
The Constitution.
Dave and CJ, let me just make one more
finish
point.
CJ, and then I'll come to Dave, and then we'll wrap.
I'll shut up for good. One more point. It's now Kamala Harris against Donald Trump.
Joe.
It's Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. If Kamala Harris loses in November, Kamala Harris will concede and she'll accept the will of the people. If Donald Trump loses in November, he won't and he won't. That is a threat.
Well,
I just want to.
Okay, but look, here's if I were to say, and I want honestly,
they have not learned their
me,
lesson.
Hold on, let me just respond to.
Let Dave respond, then I'll come to CJ.
So if I were to say right now, I want to overthrow democracy in the United States of America and institute a dictatorship, I don't think anyone on the panel is very freaked out by that, because I have no power to do it. Like, it doesn't really matter if I want to do it or not. Now, I will kind of agree with you guys. I just thought the way Trump handled the 2020 election was terrible. I did think he was kind of using like bully tactics when he called the Secretary of State in Georgia there. But the bottom line is that he had no mechanism to actually overthrow democracy, and it was a totally impotent attempt to even do it. So listen, hold on. Let me just finish, because I let you guys go for a second. Let me just finish making my.
And also, this obsession with Donald Trump accepting defeat in the election. Like, what did they really want him to do? Like, this obsession is just so weird to me. Do you think Hillary Clinton, like, if we're using the same definition here, do you think Hillary Clinton really accepted defeat? There was months and months and months after Donald Trump won in 2016 where Hillary Clinton was saying, and a lot of people were saying, oh, he only won because he colluded with Russia collusion, even the FBI, and we don't have to go into all that stuff, but there was planted evidence and all that stuff. Do you think that's really conceding an election? What do you really want Donald Trump to do? He left the White House willingly. He didn't have to be forced out. Do you want him to get on his hands and knees and say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to master Joe Biden. I concede this election. Like, what do they want him to do? He left the White House willingly. Is that not conceding defeat? If he thought he won and he wasn't going to accept the fact that he lost, he wouldn't have left the White House. He wouldn't have allowed Joe Biden to go in. He would have tried to stay. He would have used military power or something to try and stay. I don't really get the obsession with him accepting defeat, but Dave Smith's still cooking these idiots here, so let's continue with this.
My point here, this is the problem with you guys going to this well over and over again. It was never actually a threat to overthrow democracy. If you want to talk about people who haven't accepted the results of elections, Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, Stacey Abrams, they all have said these were illegitimate elections or there was outside interference. There is nothing. Look, you guys are, listen, just hear me for a second. Consider, yes, they conceded. Okay, so they conceded and he didn't. Okay, so by the magical power of saying I concede, that somehow makes us a democracy and not a dictatorship. You guys are obsessing over this thing that most Americans don't actually care that much about.
I agree. We've got to leave it there. We've run out of time.
They don't. And nobody with a functioning brain really cares because it doesn't matter. Like Dave Smith said, if Donald Trump would have come out and said, hey guys, I concede. Is he no longer a threat to democracy? Are they going to stop trying to throw him in jail? No, the answer is no. They're just going to, the machine state is going to tell these robots a different talking point to use instead, and they're just going to go with that. Because, like, let's be real. This 13-year-old in the bottom right, he's not coming up with this stuff on his own. He's just repeating the same thing he's been told to say by, I don't know if it was the Kamala Harris campaign or whoever it was that's paying these people and having them pop up out of nowhere and go viral. I don't know who it is, but they're very obviously plants. So is that really going to make them stop criticizing Donald Trump as a threat to democracy? No, they're just going to find something else to complain about. So the obsession, it's a fake obsession. They don't actually care about him saying, I concede. They just want to use that as a weapon, as a tool to be able to push their propaganda. And it's very obvious. Anyone with a brain can see right through it. And Dave Smith just exposed that on live television here, live on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Dave Smith cooking this entire woke panel. And like I said, they couldn't do anything except sit there and make stupid looking faces at him the whole time. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Dave Smith versus this entire Piers Morgan panel in the comments.